Hey guys, tonight we're going to unravel a story pulled straight from the yellowing pages of a forgotten war diary. One that wasn't meant to be read, and definitely not allowed. You've probably heard stories of soldiers seeing strange things during wartime, but this one is different. This isn't about hallucinations or trauma. This is about something real, something inhuman, and it waited almost a century to be remembered. Imagine it's late, maybe around 2 a.m. You're alone in your grandfather's old countryside home, sorting through boxes and dusty heirlooms after the funeral. The walls creak softly with every wind gust, and the wooden floor beneath your feet feels colder than it should. Then, in the attic, you find it. A trunk. Old, iron-bound, locked tight. It's hidden behind layers of moth-eaten cloth, stacked under things no one had touched in decades. It smells like mildew and something else, like rusted pennies and something once alive. Your curiosity gets the better of you. You drag it into the hallway. With a bit of elbow grease and a flathead screwdriver, you pry the lock open. The trunk lets out a tired metallic groan as the lid rises. Inside, wrapped in a faded army jacket, lies a leather-bound journal, flaking at the edges, held shut by a string of what looks like dried sinew. You hesitate. It feels warm. The cover has one word burned into it. Zalesie, a name you don't recognize. So, before you get really uncomfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you're genuinely brave enough to finish this video. Drop a comment with your country and local time. Let's see who else is awake for this one. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You untie the brittle string and open the diary. The first few pages are military reports, routine entries, supply counts, patrol routes, notes on frostbite and rations. But about 15 pages in, the handwriting changes, sloppier, nervous. There are smudges along the edge, as if someone had to keep wiping their fingers clean. Your grandfather never spoke much about the war, always avoided it when you asked. Your parents told you he served somewhere in Eastern Europe, around the winter of 1943, and barely made it home. But the way he wrote here, it's like he's talking to someone, not reporting, confessing. You start reading aloud softly, the words barely above a whisper. We arrived in Zalesie just after first snow. Map says it's a Polish village, but nobody here speaks. Nobody here at all. A faded Polaroid is tucked between the pages. It shows 10 soldiers, bundled in thick coats, rifles at their sides, standing beside a sign that says, Zalesie 2 km. One of the men, middle row, far left, is your grandfather. He's the only one not smiling. They sent us in to investigate reports of missing Soviet patrols. Locals spoke of a Zary keen, a grey shadow. Said it took people in the night. We laughed it off. The ink bleeds downward on the page, like someone had wept while writing, or something wet had soaked through. No one was supposed to know we were here, but I think it knew. I think it was waiting. You turn the page, and there's a hand-drawn map. Crude, the village, the forest, and something circled in heavy strokes. A frozen lake. Your phone buzzes, just once. No notifications. That's fine. Probably nothing. You keep reading. The entries start getting shorter, more frantic. Day 3, horses gone. No prints in snow. Corporal Mirek swears he saw something near the tree line. Says it bent backwards. You flip forward a few pages. One is torn in half. I heard it breathe. Outside the window. It sounded like wet lungs. Your skin prickles. You're not sure what you expected from the old war diary. Memories of trench life, nostalgic stories of camaraderie. Not this. Not sketches in the margins of something tall and jointed like a spider, but standing upright. Not dozens of tally marks next to the word swishy again and again. Polish for it hears. Not the sense that somehow this wasn't fiction. You put the diary down. The attic suddenly feels colder. Your breath comes out faint and visible. It's just your imagination. That's what you tell yourself, right? But you can't shake the thought. Your grandfather never wanted anyone to open that trunk. And now it's open. You don't sleep that night. The diary is still in your lap, its pages trembling slightly from the attic's draft, or maybe from something else. You keep glancing toward the staircase, listening for creaks that don't come. The kind of silence that settles around you now isn't natural. It's not quiet, it's listening. You go back to the next entry. November 14th, 1943. Snow heavy. Tracks disappeared. Nobody wants to say it aloud, but we all feel it, watching us, waiting. Your grandfather writes about the initial arrival into Zalesie. A detail you missed before catches your eye. He says the village wasn't on any updated maps, but orders insisted it existed. A small town, once known for logging, built near the edge of a dense, unnamed forest. The village was supposed to house just under 100 people. But when the soldiers arrived, it was a ghost town. Tables still set, bread unspoiled, hearths warm, not a soul around. You imagine it now, you in his boots, walking through a village where dinner still steams on the table, but the chairs are empty. Frost glimmering on glass panes, smoke still curling from chimneys, but not a single voice, not even a dog's bark. Something's wrong with that place. You feel it through his words. Private Jakub made a joke, said they all got raptured, laughed too hard. I think it was panic. The next few pages are short bursts, like he couldn't stay focused long enough to write properly. The radio's dead, too much static, and it's not static. Sounds like a heartbeat. You pause. Your own heart is beating harder now. Your fingers feel numb from gripping the edge of the diary so tightly. Your eyes flick to the next page. There's a rough sketch, drawn in pencil. It's of a small cottage. The caption beneath it reads, "House with scratches." You lean in. The roof is cracked, the windows shattered. But it's the door that grabs you. It's not there. Just jagged wood, torn from the inside. Something clawed its way out, not in. Tomasz checked inside, said there were scratches on the walls, claw marks, deep, 7 grooves, irregular, like fingers, but longer. Another photo is paper-clipped here, black and white, grainy. You squint to make it out. A man, maybe Tomasz, stands stiffly beside the same cottage. The doorframe is empty. Behind him, a shadow that doesn't match his stance. You hold the photo up to the dim attic light. The shadow has too many limbs, too many elbows. You read on. We stayed the night in the chapel, Father Casca's place. He left everything behind but the crucifix, and the warning written in ash on the floor. Don't call it by name. The writing becomes erratic, misspellings, ink splotches. His calm, precise letters from earlier entries now jitter, uneven, like written in motion. Wichak heard crying. Little girl. He followed the sound. Gone now. We find his boots 200 meters from camp. Nothing else. The names keep disappearing from the narrative, one by one. There were 10 of us, then 8, now 6. You flip another page. The handwriting stops. The rest of the page is blank, save for a smear of black across the bottom corner. Maybe ink, maybe not. And then you hear it. Not in the attic, but outside, distant, a low crack, like a tree bending under too much weight. Followed by silence, you set the diary down for a moment and walk toward the small attic window. You press your face to the cold glass. The trees behind the house are still, but for a moment, you swear you see a shape near the edge, just past the tree line, too tall, still as stone. It's gone when you blink. Back to the diary. We're told to hold position. Reinforcements in 5 days. We won't last 5 days. No animals, no wind, just it. You turn to the next page, and a loose sheet falls out. It's older than the others. The paper is yellowed, the ink faded into a brown-red tone. It looks like it doesn't belong. The language is different, Polish again, but older. Harder to read. You recognize a single phrase, underlined multiple times. Szare oko. Grey eye. You flip back through the earlier pages, and now you notice it appears several times, scrawled in the margins, almost as if he was afraid to write it directly into the story. What is the grey eye? You whisper it aloud without thinking. Szare oko. Your phone buzzes again. This time it doesn't stop. The screen stays black though. No alerts, just buzzing. A soft hum, like something buried in static. You turn it off. Back to the diary. The final entry on this page reads, Kowalski swore he saw it in the window. It doesn't have a face, just smooth, but its eyes, those weren't ours. Your grandfather underlined the next line 3 times. Don't look into its eyes. It remembers. You don't realize you're holding your breath until the wind outside brushes the house and makes the attic walls groan again. The silence after is worse, because it sounds like breathing, not yours. You sit completely still now, the war diary resting open in your lap, the pages breathing as if they've taken on a life of their own. The attic feels heavy, airless. You don't want to keep reading, but you do. Not because you're curious anymore, but because it feels like if you stop now, something else will take over. The next entry starts in a different ink, a darker one, like it was written under candlelight or worse. We checked all 12 houses. Same story. Beds unmade, meals left out. It's like they vanished mid-motion, as if they never finished leaving. Your grandfather's voice in these lines seems thinner, frayed. The soldier you pictured before, the firm, hardened man, now comes across more like a boy holding a match in a cave. There's a map he draws here, sketched quickly. A circle of homes, a church at the north end, and a black X marked just outside the village where the woods begin. Jakub said something was moving between the trees, pale, crawling low, but when we checked, no tracks, snow untouched. You imagine that, snow that never tells the truth, something watching that leaves no trace. What kind of thing doesn't leave footprints? We found the mayor's house, a photo on the wall, his wife and children, all smiling. But when we opened the cellar, we found the family there. You pause. The next line is nearly illegible. You have to squint, trace over the faded lettering with your eyes again and again. Smiles carved into their cheeks, still warm. You shiver. Private Martin vomited. He kept muttering, why were they posed like that? Why were they kneeling? You don't realize you've tensed every muscle in your body until your foot cramps. You stretch it, suddenly aware again of your surroundings. The room hasn't changed, but the shadows feel deeper now. You force yourself to keep reading. We took refuge in the largest house. We blocked the doors. It didn't matter. Then, something different, Something that doesn't feel like it belongs in a soldier's journal. Your grandfather begins describing a dream. I saw a girl in the forest, blonde, barefoot, standing still in the snow. She sang without sound. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. Behind her, the trees leaned away. Not from the wind, from something taller. Something that wore the forest like a coat. You close your eyes for a second, picturing it. The way he describes it, you feel like you've had this dream, or you might, soon. She pointed at me, not with her hand, with her eyes. The next page is smeared, a handprint maybe, fingers blackened by soot or ink. You can't tell, but it trails off the page. Then the entries get shorter, much shorter. We heard a bell last night. No one rang it. Kowalski swears the snow was falling upward. The mirror doesn't reflect us anymore. You skip ahead, a full page of scratches, like he tried to draw something, then gave up. All that's left is the shape of a wide open mouth. No face, just that mouth. Then you find something new, a folded slip of paper tucked between two pages. It's different stock than the diary. A note. You open it. It's written in your grandfather's handwriting, but this one's addressed directly. If you're reading this, it means I failed to burn it. You freeze. I'm sorry. I tried. I buried it once, but it came back. It always comes back. You stare at the paper. You need to put it back where we found it. The lake. You frown. What lake? It sleeps when it's cold. The water keeps it still, but not dead. That word hits you differently. Not dead. He finishes the note with one final line. Do not bring it near your blood. It remembers the ones who saw it. You look down at your hand. A tiny nick on your thumb, paper cut maybe, from opening the chest earlier. The air around you suddenly feels thick, almost aware. You flip back to the diary. There's a drawing of the village again, but now it's different. All the homes are crossed out in red. Only the chapel remains. Next to it, a new symbol. Something you've never seen. Circular, with slashes through it, like a clock broken at every hour. You get the feeling that this wasn't drawn from memory. This was copied. And then you hear it. Not from outside, from downstairs. The sound of the war chest, sliding. Only an inch, but enough to make your throat tighten. You force yourself to your feet, creaking toward the attic steps. You peer down through the slats of the old stairwell. The chest is still closed, but something is under it now. Dark, wet, pooled in the wood. You step back, and upstairs the wind howls through the attic vents. Except tonight, it carries something else. Something that sounds suspiciously like a bell. The sound of the bell doesn't stop. It rings faintly, just once every minute, as though whatever's ringing it wants you to notice, but not immediately panic. The kind of bell you hear when someone's already opened the gate and is stepping onto the front porch. You don't remember hearing a bell tower nearby. This isn't that kind of neighborhood. You're out in the countryside, your grandfather's house the only one for at least half a kilometer. The chapel in the story, it had a bell, but that was in Zalesie, on the other side of the world, and long gone. So why does it sound like it's coming from inside the walls? You sit back down slowly. Your eyes keep flicking to the diary, but your body doesn't want to get close to it again. It feels like it's vibrating, humming just enough to suggest something else is reading it too. Eventually, your curiosity overpowers your dread. The next entry begins with a strange description. Woke up with frost on my lips, mouth was open. Don't remember dreaming. Others report same. Tomasz says his pillow was wet, from tears, not drool. None of us remember crying. You swallow. That sounds familiar. You've woken up with damp pillows before, assumed it was sweat. Now, you're not so sure. Night patrol saw a light in the trees, small flame. When they approached, it vanished, but the footprints didn't. They were barefoot, child-sized, but only one set led away. The others were circling, hundreds of them. Another sketch here, circles around a central figure, tiny footprints spiraling inwards like a whirlpool. Then, a different kind of line drawn over them. Long, deep grooves, not footprints, drags. You trace the pencil lines with your finger. Something crawled toward the center. Church was locked when we arrived. Padlock rusted from the inside. We broke in. Rotten pews, candles long burned out, but the altar was clean, scrubbed. A figure stood behind it, not moving, not reacting. We fired. 10 bullets. It didn't flinch. You hesitate. Flip the page. Tomasz approached. It was a wooden carving. Not there yesterday. You breathe easier, only for a second. Today it had arms. Yesterday it didn't. We checked again tonight. Now it has a mouth. A sketch here. Your grandfather was an average artist, but he put care into this one. A statue, roughly human-shaped, but its proportions are wrong. Too tall and too narrow. No face at first, but with each redraw, it's gained features. Almost like the more they looked, the more it became real. Someone whispered inside the chapel. No one admitted it. A child's voice said, "Don't let the snow hear your name." The wind outside picks up, slamming softly against the attic wall. You hear a creak. No, more like a groan. Long and slow, as if the weight of the house is shifting. You return to the page. Private Kowalski tried to leave today. We found him at dusk, standing in the woods. His face had changed. Longer, like something was stretching it from within. When we asked him who he was, he didn't answer. He just said, "She sings now. She sings from under the lake." Your eyes widen. The lake again. The one circled in the sketch. You tear through the diary until you find the original lake entry. They told us the lake was cursed. Locals used to throw salt in before fishing. No one fished this year. The ice groans at night. It pulses. Another entry below. Captain said if anyone went near the lake again, he'd shoot them himself. Then, smaller handwriting. He shot himself this morning. You lean back. The attic creaks above you, and the light bulb overhead flickers. Not like it's dying, more like it's being watched. That same bell sound comes again, louder this time. Not from outside, from beneath the floorboards. You stare down. It feels impossible, but the sound is vibrating up through your feet. You kneel, place a hand to the wooden planks. Stillness, then tap. Once, directly beneath your palm, as if something has gently knocked from below. You snatch your hand away. The diary shifts. You didn't touch it, but the cover moves slightly, like a breath beneath the leather. You look again. The ink on the open page is wet, fresh. It's a line you haven't read before. Don't stop now. You didn't turn the page, but the diary did. You didn't move the page. You're certain of it, but there it is. New text exposed, darker than the rest. You run your fingertip over the fresh ink and it smears. It's real. It's new. The words still glisten, curling into the paper like veins. You read it again. Don't stop now. Your hand trembles slightly as you turn to the next entry. This one's dated November 18th, 1943. The letters are jagged. Your grandfather's once steady script has completely unraveled. We followed the footprints to the lake. should have turned back. Water was black beneath the ice, like tar. Still, too still. Martin said he saw something move underneath. Not swim, crawl. A second sketch accompanies the entry. It's the frozen lake, rough outlines of tall pines encircling it. But beneath the white surface is the shape of something long, jointed. The limbs twist at strange angles. You count the fingers, 6 on each hand. We stayed too long. Mirek wandered too close. Cracks followed his steps. Then he just dropped, like the ice had opened its mouth. No scream, just silence. You hear a pop from the hallway downstairs. A light bulb, a fuse, but you don't move. Your eyes are glued to the next few lines. It returned him 2 hours later, laid him in front of the church door, eyes open, smiling. We buried him behind the chapel. He came back the next night. You shudder. Knocked on the door, same rhythm as always, same voice, asking to come in. He knew the code word, but it wasn't him. Another pencil sketch follows. This time it's a close-up of Mirek's face. The grin stretches too far. The eyes are black hollows filled with pinpricks of light. We didn't open the door, but it stood there till morning, never blinked. You flip the page. Something ancient sleeps beneath the lake. Locals used to call it the Hollow Saint. They fed it prayers, then pigs, then people. We weren't the first to find this place. There's a chilling pause before the next line. You can almost feel it through the paper. We won't be the last. Your hands feel colder now. You press them together, trying to get the blood moving. The attic suddenly feels far too big. The corners darker than they were 5 minutes ago. You glance at the war chest, still closed, still sitting near the attic stairs. But the air around it feels different, thicker. You refocus on the diary. We tried to leave today. The forest led us back. You blink. Read it again. Every direction circled. Compass spun out. We walked 7 hours and came back to our own footprints. Jakob cracked, started screaming at the trees, said they were rearranging. He ran into the woods, didn't come back. Another eerie sketch, this one of trees, tall and skeletal, leaning subtly inward like they're whispering to each other. There's something between them. A tall silhouette, arms dragging behind it like loose rope. You turn the page carefully, fearing it might crumble. The chapel statue changed again. Now it looks like someone we lost. It smiles when no one watches. Your skin crawls. You lean in. Beneath that line, something's been carved into the paper with a knife instead of ink. Scratched hard, deep grooves that almost cut through the page. We sleep in shifts. It watches. And then, a single line beneath that, nearly too faint to read. One of us prays to it now. The attic light dims, not fully flickering but softening into a more unnatural tone, like something is drawing energy inward. The diary's next entry is smeared with a reddish fingerprint. You don't want to know what that stain is. Mirek's body rotted faster than normal. Hours, not days. Something inside him kept moving. We buried him again. Used salt. It screamed. That word. Screamed. It's the first time your grandfather used it. Something about it makes you nauseous. Last night I dreamed I was writing this, and someone was reading it aloud. You freeze. The silence swells. You're not imagining it anymore. The attic isn't empty. It's listening. You blink slowly, heart pounding like footsteps in a hallway that leads only one way, toward you. You glance at the diary. It hasn't moved. Not physically, but something about it feels different now, like it's aware. like the book has crossed the line between object and participant. You lower your eyes back to the page. Your grandfather's handwriting is barely legible here. The letters slanted and shaky. Tomasz is the one praying now. He says the thing beneath the ice listens. He sits outside the chapel every night, doesn't blink, doesn't move. When we ask who he's talking to, he just says, the one who remembers. The diary shakes slightly as you turn the page. Or maybe your hand is just unsteady. You grip the edges of the old leather cover, fingers trembling, and press on. Tomasz led us to the edge of the woods today, showed us symbols carved into the trees, deep, too deep for human tools. Some spiral inward, some spiral out, but when you look at them long enough, they start moving, inside your head. You stop for a moment, because you remember those same shapes, vaguely, in your childhood maybe. Doodles you made without realizing, scratched into school desks, or drawn in the margins of notebooks. But how could that be? You turn the page, there's a full entry, written with grim detail. November 21st, snow won't fall anymore. The sky's white but empty, no wind, no clouds, just that silence that pushes against your eardrums like pressure underwater. The hollow saint speaks in dreams now. All of us hear it. Different voices, but the same message. A line is drawn beneath those words, jagged and uneven, as though your grandfather's hand was shaking. You brought light where it asked for dark. You whisper it aloud before you realize. The words feel wrong in your mouth, cold, like you inhaled ash. Then comes another sketch. This one more abstract. It's a crude face, featureless except for a single open eye in the center of the forehead. But not a real eye, something deeper, wider, endless. Beneath it, a phrase is written upside down. Do not name it. Naming draws it close. Your pulse quickens. You look around the attic again, suddenly certain that something else is in the room with you. The shadows at the edge of your vision feel like they're shifting, inching closer. But you can't stop now. Your eyes return to the diary. Kowalski's face is gone. Not wounded, not removed. Gone. Like someone erased it with the back of a pencil. He doesn't scream, doesn't speak. He just points at the trees. He's still breathing. You bite the inside of your cheek, hard, just to stay grounded. We tried to restrain him. Rope snapped. His skin is wrong, like it's remembering how to be someone else. You swallow, mouth dry as dust. Last night the lake whispered. I swear to God, it said my name. A heavy pause follows, and then it said yours too. You freeze, flip the page. It's blank at first, but as you tilt the diary, something glistens faintly in the low attic light. Faded ink, water damage. No, it's written in oil, glossy black against the paper, only visible at the right angle. You strain your eyes. The text is tiny, but deliberate. She's not in the lake anymore. She walks. You recoil slightly, as if your own breath has turned against you. Then, more conventional writing resumes. We found bones under the snow near the lake. Dozens, maybe more. Not animal, not quite human. They're wrong. Jawbones that hinge the other way. Knees that bend sideways. Tomasz says they're hers. Old bodies, new hosts. You whisper now, just to feel less alone. New hosts. You look down at your own hand. That small paper cut on your thumb. It's not bleeding anymore, but the skin around it has started to peel, like something underneath is trying to emerge. You shake the thought off. Just dry skin, just stress. You keep going. The next page is almost blank, just a single sentence in shaky writing. I saw her face last night. You hesitate. The attic feels wrong. Not empty, but incomplete. Like you're being watched from just behind the walls. The next entry comes quickly. It's not a face. It wears faces like winter clothes, like stories. I saw my mother last night. She died in 1936. She was crying, but only from one eye. The other one watched. The sentence is underlined multiple times. She blinked sideways. That's all you can read before you snap the diary closed for a moment. You exhale through clenched teeth, but just as quickly, the silence floods in again. And with it, that bell. This time, it doesn't come from under the floorboards. It comes from behind the wall. 3 slow tolls. You look up and realize the attic has gone completely dark. The light bulb above you no longer glows. You don't move. You're not even sure you can. The light overhead is out, completely, but not shattered. It just stopped existing. Around you, the attic is a pitch-black dome, quiet and thick, the kind of darkness that feels alive. Your breath fogs faintly in the cold, even though you're indoors. You try to reach for your phone, but your limbs feel sluggish, like they're moving through water. And then, tap, a soft sound. To your left, you freeze, try to listen. Tap, tap. It's deliberate. Not the creaking of wood, not a rodent. It's like a finger, tapping once on the wall, pausing, then again. Slower this time. You clutch the diary tighter. It's warm now, faintly, like it remembers the hands that held it before you. You pull in a breath and reach for the flashlight app on your phone. But before you can unlock it, skreek. The attic floor groans beside you, not beneath you, beside you. Something is standing on the floorboards, just out of reach of your vision. Something that knows how to stay just beyond the light. You flick your phone screen on. Empty. Nothing. Just dusty rafters, cardboard boxes, and the ancient frame of your grandfather's trunk. But the diary in your hands. The pages begin to flutter on their own. No wind, just flipping back and forth, like something is searching. And then it stops. A page you haven't seen before. At the top, in large trembling handwriting, her name is buried beneath the lake. But we sang it once, and she came. You hesitate, then turn the page. Tomasz couldn't stop singing. He stood waist deep in the ice water and screamed it into the sky. The lake turned black around him, bubbled, like it was boiling from beneath. When we pulled him out, he was blind, but he could still see her. You run your thumb across the lines, half expecting them to smear like wet ink, but they're dry, permanently etched. He told me her fingers had too many joints, that her arms never ended. They just kept going, bending back inward. He said she smelled like teeth. You nearly laugh, nearly, but it comes out choked. You reach instinctively for something solid, your hand brushing the attic wall. It's freezing cold. Your breath fogs again. The diary continues. She's old, older than the war, older than the words we speak. She lives where memory rots, where names go to die. Another toll of the bell. Only once this time, but it lasts longer, dragging across the silence like a claw over metal. You hold your breath. She doesn't hunt. She invites. She leaves pieces of herself, buried deep in our thoughts, our stories, our children. You close your eyes and press your back to the nearest support beam, because now you remember something. A story your grandfather used to tell you as a child. One you assumed he made up. It was about a woman in the water who could only be seen in reflections. never directly. She would ask you questions, not aloud, but in your dreams. If you answered wrong, she took your face. If you answered right, she took someone else's. It was a bedtime tale, one that made you sleep under your blanket even in summer. And now it's here, written in this diary like a confession. I thought she was a myth, until I heard her voice in the chapel. Not a scream, not a whisper, a lullaby sung backward. You flip the page. This one is soaked with something. Not water, not blood. It's sticky, faintly glossy. At the bottom, a single line written in red. She knows you're reading this. Your throat tightens. Behind you, the wall groans again. You shine your phone toward it. The light reveals a faint indentation in the wood. No, a door. A panel you've never noticed before, flush with the wall, nearly invisible under the layers of dust. You shouldn't. Every nerve in your body tells you to leave, to get out of this attic, close the hatch, and forget everything. But the diary is pulsing now, faintly, but undeniably warm in your hands, almost alive. And curiosity has a flavor, doesn't it? You press your hand against the panel. It gives slightly, creaking open just an inch. A cold gust brushes your cheek, sharp, wet. You swing the flashlight inside. It's a crawl space, narrow. Wooden beams line the interior. At the far end, just barely visible, is a single small box. You hesitate, but the tapping starts again. On the inside this time, the box moves. Something inside is pushing against the lid. Your pulse is hammering now, but something urges you forward. As you crawl into the space, the air turns stale, almost metallic. The diary in your hand flips again, pages spinning wildly. Then they stop. The sketch returns. The faceless figure, now closer, drawn over and over again, as if through obsession. Each version clearer, and beneath one drawing, a final note. If you see her, don't run. Don't look away. Don't name her. Just close your eyes and remember who you are. The box creaks open as you reach it. Inside, it isn't a box. Not in the way you expected. It's wooden, yes, with rusted brass hinges and a warped, water-stained lid. But it feels wrong in your hands. Lighter than it should be. Like it's empty and yet pressurized, as if holding something dense and invisible. You hesitate before lifting the lid all the way. It doesn't resist you. Inside lies a single object. A mirror, oval, maybe antique. The frame is carved from what looks like bone, polished smooth, almost gleaming despite the dust around it. The glass itself is flawless. No cracks, not even a scratch. And your reflection, that's the part that makes your stomach twist, because it doesn't move. You blink, but the image does not. You tilt your head. Your reflection stares dead ahead. It's not mimicking you, it's watching. And its eyes, your eyes, they're completely black. You slam the lid shut, nearly fumbling the whole box, and backpedal out of the crawl space so fast you bang your shoulder against the beam. The diary thumps onto the attic floor. You're breathing hard now. The flashlight trembles in your hand. For a second, all is silent again. And then, the mirror begins to hum. A low, almost subsonic vibration, felt more than heard. The air shifts. You can feel it. The attic growing heavier, warmer, as if something enormous just stirred beneath the floorboards. You back farther away from the crawl space opening. The diary's pages flick again, just once, and stop. Another entry appears. One you know wasn't there before. I buried it in the wall after she came to me in the field hospital. Said she was looking for her other face. She asked me what I thought I looked like. I said, I don't know anymore. She smiled, and I lost 3 hours. You sit, stunned. Then something scuttles behind you, fast, soft, not footsteps, not claws, like the dragging of fabric or the twitch of 2 long fingers brushing against the rafters. You turn, nothing. Your flashlight beam sweeps the attic like a panicked searchlight. Every shadow looks deeper than it should, like the corners have grown thicker. You turn back to the diary. Tomasz painted it, said she asked him to. He tore out his own eyes after, but he painted it perfectly, even blind. You flip to the next page. It's entirely filled with a single drawing. You freeze, because you've seen this before. The mirror, the attic, the crawl space, all of it, sketched perfectly from the same angle you're currently sitting in. The drawing is you holding the diary, you in the attic. But there's something standing behind you in the sketch, not touching you, not even quite in focus, but present, too tall, shoulders too narrow, neck elongated like it's been stretched. And where a face should be, there's only a wet, pulsing void, like skin drawn over a mouth that never formed. You spin, flashlight aimed, just shadows, just boxes, just the trunk. Then something whispers in your ear. You look too long. It's not a voice you know. It's old, female, whispered not in sound, but in memory. You feel it more than hear it, like something recalling a dream you forgot you ever had. The attic hatch behind you slams shut with a thud. You scramble toward it, phone light bouncing across the floor, but your hands slip on the wood. Dust rises in choking clouds. You tug the hatch, it won't budge. Locked from the outside. You pound on it. Silence. Then a soft voice from below. A child's voice. Grandpa told me not to look in the mirror. You go still. That voice sounds familiar. Too familiar. You press your ear to the floorboards. A breath. Just below. Then, did you see her too? You don't respond. Do you think she's still hungry? A pause. Then laughter. Soft. Like a giggle trying to stifle itself. You stagger back. Sit on the attic floor again. The diary has closed itself. On the cover, something has changed. There are now 3 long gouges across the leather. Deep. As if clawed. You pick it up, hesitant, hands trembling. Open it again. It's blank. Every page, clean parchment. No ink, no drawings, except the last one. At the very end of the book, someone has written one final line in small, perfect handwriting. The diary doesn't record memories. It records who remembers. You stare at it, unblinking. A breath escapes your lips. Behind you, the mirror hums again. Only this time it speaks, not aloud, in your own voice. It asks, "What do you remember about your grandfather?" The attic grows darker, though your flashlight is still on. The diary feels heavier now, like it remembers more than you ever did. You try the hatch again, hands slick with sweat and dust. Still locked, still silent below. Except that isn't true. If you listen hard enough, you can hear movement, soft, deliberate shifting, like someone walking barefoot across carpet. Not up here, downstairs, pacing slowly. You hold your breath. Another sound, pages turning. Not the diary, something else. You glance around the attic, flashlight catching on every dusty surface, until it lands on a stack of books in the far corner. Old hardbacks, worn covers. The top one lies open now. You're certain it was closed earlier. Cautiously, you approach. The open book's title is unreadable. No text, just a faded illustration on the first page. A black sun hanging over a trench. You flip to the next. It's another drawing. This one of a nurse standing in front of a hospital tent. Her face is shaded out, as if the artist feared what lay beneath. Turn again. A man on a stretcher, staring directly out of the page, eyes hollow. His mouth stitched shut, not with thread, but with dark veins growing from within. Beneath the drawing, in the same familiar ink from the diary, she said if I remembered her, she'd follow me home. So I forgot. I forgot everything. I even forgot myself. You freeze. Something shifts behind the book stack. Not a sound, a feeling, like someone sucking all the air from the room. Your light flicks to the right. There's a face watching you through the gaps in the boxes. No, not a face, not even a head. It's flat, mask-like, skin stretched and tight, as if someone tried to remember a person they'd only seen in a dream and sculpted it from melted wax. The eyes are voids, depthless, and the mouth, it opens, not down, sideways. You stagger back, knocking into the mirror, which topples face down with a hollow thud. Instant silence. You scramble to lift it again, but the glass is now pitch black. A polished obsidian surface that reflects nothing, not even light. A new voice speaks from it. This time, it's your grandfather's, but twisted, like someone trying to impersonate him after listening to 1,000 recordings and still getting the inflection wrong. I buried what I couldn't forget, it says. But you read it anyway. You drop the mirror. It doesn't break. The attic creaks again, boards groaning under invisible weight. You don't turn. You can't. Instead, you flip the diary open again, still blank. But the next page bleeds through slowly. You watch the words appear like reverse ink, as though drawn up from inside the parchment. They called her the nurse of no name. She wasn't with any country, no insignia, no records. But she appeared at every field hospital in that valley, and left with nothing but faces. The air feels thinner now, harder to breathe. Your vision shimmers slightly. Peripheral shadows dance just out of focus. You blink hard, once, twice, and then nothing. Pitch black. Your flashlight has died. You tap your phone. No response. Only that vibrating hum again. The diary grows warm in your hands, like it's alive. You try crawling toward the hatch again, but something stops you. Not physically. Inside your head. A voice, low and patient. You still don't remember what he did. You freeze. A sudden memory slams into you, unbidden, forceful. You see yourself, much younger, sitting on Grandpa's lap. He's reading from the diary. Only, it wasn't blank then. The pages were full of terrifying sketches, war scenes too vivid for a child to process. One page had the same mirror. Another showed a man tied to a hospital bed, mouth sewn shut, being watched by the woman with no face. And then, you remember, he told you not to tell your parents, that this was his story to share. You'd forgotten it completely, until now. You whisper, "Why show me this?" No one answers, but the attic feels closer, like it's breathing around you. You open the diary again. Another page has formed. This time, it's a list, handwritten, names, dates. Some are crossed out, others not. And halfway down, you find your name, not crossed out. Next to it, 09:41 p.m, attic. You glance at your phone. Despite the dead screen, the time flickers once, briefly, before disappearing, but you saw it. 09:41 p.m. Exactly. You drop the diary like it burns, and for a moment, just one, you feel someone behind you, close, so close that the space behind your neck cools. like breath without sound. Then a hand, not on your shoulder, not touching, just hovering. You can feel the heat of it, radiating like coals. You don't move, because something inside you whispers. If you move, she remembers you more clearly. So you freeze. You stare down at the diary, still open. One more line has appeared beneath your name. A question, scrawled in rushed handwriting, as though etched in panic. Do you remember who you really are? Or only what the diary tells you? Then the attic light flickers once and comes on. Dim, but enough. You spin around. The attic is empty, completely. No mirror, no mask-faced figure, no trunk. Even the books are gone. Just you. And the diary, still open, still whispering with heat, still waiting for the next name. You don't sleep that night. How could you? You sit in your bed, wrapped in a blanket that doesn't feel warm anymore. Diary clutched to your chest like some cursed artifact you can't bring yourself to let go of. Every creak of the house sends a fresh surge of adrenaline down your spine. Every shadow on the wall looks like it might move if you stare too long. But nothing happens. Not for hours. Then, as the pale light of dawn bleeds through the window, the diary starts to grow cold. It stops vibrating. It goes silent. You open it, slowly, ready for another page, another threat, another whispered memory. But it's blank again. Not even your name. Almost like it never happened. But that's a lie. You know it happened. You remember. Your hands are still shaking. You haven't eaten. You haven't even checked your phone. You don't want to. Because what if it shows that time? That exact time. Drone line 41 p.m. Frozen on the lock screen like a timestamp for your own haunting. But you have to try something. You slip the diary into a backpack, grab your keys, and drive to the local historical archive. The building is old, mostly empty during the day, and even emptier this early. A bell rings faintly as you enter, the old man behind the counter glancing up over wireframe glasses. You tell him you're researching a relative, a World War II soldier. You give your grandfather's full name. He asks you to spell it. Then he disappears into the back, shuffling through records. You pace. 10 minutes pass, then 15. When he returns, he looks off. Your grandfather's record is strange, he says. Most of his file's intact, but a few pages are missing, and not just redacted, ripped out, like someone really didn't want them seen. He hands you a faded manila folder. You flip through it quickly. Photos, typed service history, dates that mostly match what you knew, except one. A small note attached to a transfer order. Relocated to V Hospital, Red Valley. Unconfirmed unit. No further entries. You point to it. Where's Red Valley? He squints at it. I've worked here 30 years. Never heard of it. You show him the diary. He frowns, flips it open, then laughs awkwardly. It's blank. You stare. No. There were entries, pages, names, drawings. He hands it back. Maybe it was heat-sensitive ink, or you dreamt it. You know he's wrong, but you nod and leave. Later that night, at home, you sit at your desk with the diary again. You try not to touch it more than necessary. You flip to the middle, still blank. But when you reach the page with the nurse drawing, the one with the blacked out face, it's returned, now in color, and her eyes are visible. They're the same shade as yours. You slam the diary shut. This is getting deeper than just a haunting. This is identity rot. You wonder, what if the diary isn't just telling a story? What if it's changing it? You dig through old boxes in your basement, childhood things, photo albums, letters, You find something unsettling. A photo of you at 8 years old. You're holding the diary, smiling. You don't remember this moment at all. Another. Your grandfather handing it to you. Your parents in the background, looking away, as if this wasn't supposed to happen. As if they let it happen. You dig deeper. One envelope catches your eye. It's sealed with red wax. No stamp, no address, just your name. Inside, a single slip of paper, typed, no handwriting. Return to where it ended, or she'll keep remembering you. And eventually, you'll remember her back. No signature, no instructions, just dread. You sit there for a long time, staring at the envelope, trying to understand what it means. Where it ended, that must mean the hospital, Red Valley, if it even exists. You look online, nothing. No hospitals, no towns, not even a matching military base. But your gut tells you it's real. Just not in the usual sense, not in the world most people see. You spread the diary on the floor, draw a circle of salt around it, light a single candle. You don't know why. It just feels right. The diary begins to hum again, only softly, like a lullaby in reverse. Then the pages turn on their own and settle on a map, hand-drawn. A valley surrounded by ridges, one main road cutting through it like a scar. And in the middle, a black dot labeled Field H. Beneath it, a single line written in tiny letters. Only the forgotten can enter. You stare and whisper, "How do I forget?" The candle flickers violently, and every light in the house goes out. You don't scream, you can't, because your mouth is gone. You run to the mirror. It's still you, but your lips are sealed, literally. A perfect line of flesh, where your mouth once was. No blood, no pain, just absence. You fall to your knees. The diary closes itself, and on the cover, your reflection ripples faintly. And in that ripple, the nurse, watching, waiting, smiling with a mouth that isn't hers. Your mouth returns by morning. No clue how. You just wake up, lips tingling, like they'd fallen asleep. You check the mirror over and over again. There's no scar, no sign it ever happened. But you know, and the diary's still warm. It sits on your desk like a sleeping animal. Quiet now, too quiet. You don't open it again, not yet. Instead, you pace your room, heart pounding with each step. You replay the note in your mind. Return to where it ended, or she'll keep remembering you. You glance toward your backpack. The map from last night. Was it still there? You approach the diary carefully, half expecting it to jump at you. You open it. The map's gone. But the phrase has changed. It now reads, "You remember enough. That's all you need." You curse under your breath. There's no town named Red Valley, no hospital, no coordinates. And yet, you see it, in flashes. Not just from the diary now, your dreams, your childhood memories, strange, disjointed visions. An underground tunnel, metal beds lined in rows, nurses without names, soldiers staring blankly at walls. A voice humming from somewhere deep within the earth. A voice that shouldn't belong to anything human. You pull out your laptop and search deeper. No Red Valley appears on any map, but one forum post from 2009 catches your eye. Anyone else heard of the Red Valley Project? Used to be a military psych ward, maybe WWII era. They treated trauma patients with weird methods. Can't find it on maps, but I think it was out west. Desert country. New Mexico, maybe. The post has no replies. The user never posted again. But you know that name, Red Valley. It exists in memory, not geography. Still, it's a start. By late afternoon, you're on the road. Destination, New Mexico. There's an aching sense of inevitability to it, like you're following a trail already laid out years ago, decades even. The drive is long and quiet, but not peaceful. The diary stays buckled in the passenger seat, like a cursed companion. At night, when you glance at it under the dim dome light, you swear the leather moves, like it's breathing. Somewhere around midnight on the second day, you pull off a narrow desert road and stop. You're not sure why. You don't remember planning it, but something inside you whispers, "Here." You step out into the chill wind. The stars above feel unfamiliar, too bright, too watchful. Ahead lies an old chain-link fence, rusted through in parts. A bent sign reads, "Restricted Area, US Government Property, Keep Out." Beyond it, the desert stretches toward jagged cliffs. And something else. The air smells wrong, like copper and mold. You grip the diary and climb the fence. No alarm sounds, no one stops you. You walk for what feels like hours, following an invisible path through red dirt and brittle grass. Then you see it, half buried beneath the earth. A concrete hatch, military grey, no markings. You approach, fingers trembling. The metal is warm, and it opens with a hiss, as though it's been waiting. Stale air pours out, thick and heavy. You descend a rusted ladder into the dark. Your flashlight flickers. The tunnel smells like old paper and antiseptic. Along the walls are faded murals, cartoon suns, rabbits, happy things painted in trembling hands. And beneath them, tally marks, hundreds, maybe thousands. Then the hallway opens into a circular chamber, and everything changes. The walls here are mirrored. You see yourself from every angle, but in every reflection something's off. A different scar, a wrong expression. One of them, no several, aren't even blinking. You walk slowly, keeping your eyes forward. In the center of the room, a bed, stainless steel, and on it, the diary. It's not yours. This one is older, blood-stained. You pick it up, and as your hand touches it, a flood of memory crashes into your skull. You were here, a long time ago, in a life you don't remember living, strapped to that bed. Voices around you whispering in languages that don't exist anymore. And the nurse, always the nurse, her hands cold, her face too smooth, eyes that looked right through you and saw something else. The reflections begin to move independently now. They're not copying you anymore. Some are smiling, some are screaming. One by one, they turn away from the center, all except one. The version of you standing directly across the circle. That one leans closer, mouth moving silently. Then your flashlight dies, pitch black, nothing but breath, yours and something else. Then, flickers. Dim emergency lighting buzzes on, casting the room in red. Your reflection is gone. In its place, the nurse. But this time, she's not behind glass. She's standing across from you, breathing, smiling. She speaks without sound. Her mouth moves, but no noise escapes. Still, the words slam into your mind. I never stopped watching. She steps forward. You can't move. She lifts her hand and touches your chest. There's no pain, just cold. Memories flood in. Not yours, not hers. Something shared. Something old. Long before the war, before the world was mapped. She shows you the place beneath places, the first valley, where men brought back things they didn't understand and buried them deep, where names are forgotten on purpose. And war isn't what breaks people, memory is. You fall to your knees. She leans down, and for the first time, whispers aloud, "You're remembering too fast." Then, darkness, silence. When you wake, you're back in your car. Sunrise on the horizon. The diary on your lap closed. You check the back seat. No footprints, no dust, no proof you were ever down there. You open the diary. Only one sentence remains. We're almost ready to come home. You don't drive home. Not really. Your hands are on the wheel, sure, but your mind feels disconnected, adrift in that same foggy blur that clouded your grandfather's words in the later pages. Something has been unlocked. You're not just remembering his story anymore. You're becoming part of it. The diary lies closed on the passenger seat, but even with your eyes off the road, you feel it watching. The smell of it, aged leather and iron, fills the car even with the windows cracked. Your breath fogs the windshield in strange, geometric patterns, like runes trying to etch themselves into the glass. Halfway through Nevada, you stop at a gas station. You stand still under harsh fluorescent lights, listening. You hear nothing. No other cars, no insects, no music from inside the store. Just nothing. The kind of silence that sucks the sound from your lungs. You leave the gas station without paying, unsure if the money in your wallet would even be recognized here. That night, you sleep inside the car, on the side of a long-forgotten back road. Just past midnight, you wake up with blood in your mouth. Your tongue tastes wrong. You check the rearview mirror and see that your reflection is sleeping. You do not sleep again that night. By morning, your GPS no longer works. Your phone shows the time, but no signal. The background wallpaper has changed, somehow. Replaced with the same hand-sketched image from your grandfather's diary. The faceless thing, bent backward, arms too long, body curled into a crouch. You don't remember setting that image. You try to change it, but it flickers back within seconds. Later that day, you find yourself approaching the old house again, your grandfather's house. You hadn't meant to come back. You don't even remember turning in this direction. But there it is, the sagging roof, the ivy-choked walls, the attic window cracked like an open eye. The house looks more dead than you remember, but something inside you insists that you forgot something. Inside, the air is stale and heavy. The floorboards groan beneath your feet in patterns that almost sound like words. You head straight for the attic. The ladder unfolds itself. Upstairs, the war chest still waits. You didn't bring it with you, remember? But it's here again. Back in its corner, lid slightly ajar. The diary flutters open in your hand, seemingly on its own. A new passage now, written in handwriting that is not yours, and not your grandfather's either. It ended where it began, but the final night never left. It still burns, just beneath the wood and stone. You kneel by the floorboards. Without thinking, you pull out your multi-tool and begin scraping. Layer after layer comes up. Dust, then old wood, then something beneath that. Metal, a trapdoor. You dig it free. There's no handle, only a flat brass plate, warm to the touch. You press your palm against it, and something clicks. It opens downward into the dark. The smell that rises from it is not of this century. You descend into the belly of your grandfather's house. Below, the walls are made of red brick, curved like a well. The ceiling drips. The light from your flashlight bends in strange ways, like it's reluctant to go too far ahead. Along the walls, shelves, jars, photographs, bones, not all of them human. You recognize some of the photos, soldiers, medics, even children. Each photo has one thing in common. Their eyes are gone, not gouged out, just blank. No irises, no sclera, just smoothed over skin. You reach the back wall where something large looms, a metal table. And on it, another body. You approach, unsure whether it's real or a display. The body is skeletal, decayed, but the limbs are wrong. Extra joints, rib cage far too wide, and no head, just a mass of dried tissue where the neck ends like something burst out. A single page rests on its chest, not from a diary, not handwritten, typed. You read aloud. Subject 12, A recovered. December 1943 region. Red Valley condition, highly hostile. Visual contact avoided. Notes. Language inconsistent with human dialects. Dissection incomplete due to incident. Staff terminated. Warning. Under no circumstance should written record be shared with civilian descendants. You drop the page. Your hands are shaking now. This thing was taken during the war, kept, buried, and your grandfather had access to it. The journal didn't record a creature. It was an interface, a way to channel whatever this was, or still is. The diary begins to heat up in your bag. The air around you grows thicker. Your ears ring. Then, footsteps. Not behind you, above, in the attic. No, the floor above the attic, where there should be nothing. Then, breathing, wet and animal-like. You turn to flee, scrambling up the ladder and slamming the trapdoor shut behind you. But the attic no longer looks the same. The room is wrong. Longer than before, with windows on all four walls now. None of them show the outside. Only forest, dense and dark, with shadows that twitch and breathe. You hear something descending from the upper rafters. A long, slick dragging sound, like rope soaked in mucus. You spin around and find the chest open again, fully this time. Inside, another body, but not dead. It moves, barely. Its eyes flutter open. Your grandfather, except his skin is pale and stretched, his mouth sewn shut with something like wire. His eyes plead silently as you step closer. He raises a trembling finger and points behind you. You don't want to turn, but you do. And there she is, the nurse, but not quite. Taller than before, too tall. Her limbs bend at the wrong places. Her smile stretches ear to ear, revealing a mouth filled with too many teeth. She speaks again. No sound, just thought. It's your turn to remember. It's how I survive. She opens her arms like a mother waiting for her child. And from her chest, a new mouth opens, smiling. You scream. And then, darkness. You wake up. Not in the attic, not even in the house. You're lying face down in wet grass, your cheek pressed to the earth. The scent of mud and something older filling your lungs. It's dusk. The sky above is a bleeding orange, fading into black at the edges like a film reel that's begun to melt. You sit up slowly, your joints aching as if you've been lying here for days. The trees around you are unfamiliar, thicker than any forest you remember. Their bark pulses faintly, like veins beneath translucent skin. You don't remember walking here. You don't remember leaving the attic, but your hands are filthy and your clothes torn. The diary is gone. Your phone is gone. Your name, suddenly even that feels slippery. You whisper it to yourself, but it sounds wrong in your mouth, like you're pronouncing someone else's memory. A whisper cuts through the trees. He brought you here. You spin around. No one. Then another voice, closer, feminine, fragile. He gave us your eyes. Behind you now. You turn, and there's a child standing there. 8, maybe 9. Pale skin, hollow cheeks, a threadbare wool sweater that's rotting at the cuffs. But her eyes, they're not there. Just smooth skin, stretched tight over where her gaze should be. She smiles like she knows you. Don't worry, she whispers, voice as soft as falling ash. He always takes the kind ones first. You back away. Your foot lands in something soft, wet. You look down. A boot. Old. Black leather. Then another. Then more. Dozens. Half buried in the earth. Some upright. Some tipped. Some still with feet inside them. You're standing in a graveyard, but no markers. Just bones and remnants. Shattered canteens. Dog tags. Helmets warped by heat and carved into the base of a nearby tree. Red Valley receives. You recognize the words. They were scribbled in the margin of one of the last diary entries. The girl walks past you now, barefoot, unbothered by the grave soil beneath her. They came here after the fire, she says without looking back. They thought it was over, but it never stops. Not when he remembers. You follow her. You don't want to, but your feet move without asking. Deeper into the woods, the light fades rapidly, like the sun is being pulled down instead of setting naturally. You hear whispers again, your grandfather's voice now, reciting something between prayer and apology. I didn't know what we unearthed. We were cold and hungry. We thought it was a bunker, but the walls were too smooth. The symbols, we should have left it sealed. You emerge into a clearing. There, at the center, a sunken pit. Stone steps spiral downward, into the earth, vanishing into shadow. At the edge of the pit stands a row of figures. Not people, not anymore. Their uniforms hang in tatters. Their skin is waxen, their faces erased. No features, just flesh. Each one holds an object, a piece of wood, a helmet, a shattered rifle, a page torn from a journal. One of them holds your diary. The girl turns to you. They brought it back here so you could see. You feel your chest tighten. This is it. The final memory. You descend the steps, one by one. Each footfall echoes impossibly loud, like you're walking inside a cathedral carved from lungs and bone. The air smells thick with decay and copper. At the bottom of the spiral pit, the walls shift from stone to a strange black material. Organic, almost translucent. Inside it, things pulse and twitch, like veins or arteries. And then, at the very center, you find a door. Not wooden or metal, something else. It shimmers in the dark, a fluid shape, held in place by the will of memory. The girl stands beside it. This is where he saw it, she says, where it told him the war was never meant to end, that every conflict is just a rehearsal for feeding. You feel the words echo in your bones. She presses her hand against the door, and it opens like flesh parting. Beyond it, a chamber, circular, impossible. You step inside and realize the walls are made entirely of faces. Mouths frozen open in eternal screams, eyes gouged out. All of them, familiar, people from your dreams, your childhood, your memories, your grandfather, your mother, even you. At the center of the room is a throne, built from twisted helmets, shattered bones, rusted blades, and upon it sits a creature. No eyes, no face, only the suggestion of humanity, but elongated, malformed, clothed in shadows that slither. Its fingers are too long, and they drum slowly on the arms of its seat. As you stare, it leans forward, not with movement, but with memory. You feel it enter you, sifting, tasting, extracting. And then a voice, your grandfather's, echoes from the walls. I tried to burn the book, I tried to bury it, but memory isn't a flame, it's a root. The creature reaches out and touches your chest. You fall backward, but not onto stone, onto dirt. Back in the clearing, you're alone now. The girl is gone, the faceless soldier's gone, but the diary lies in your lap, open to a final page. Blank, except for 5 words, written in fresh ink. Now it's your turn. Write. You don't remember picking up the pen, but your hand is already writing. It moves without asking, scratching across the page in sharp, looping letters that don't look like your own. You try to stop. You really do, but you can't. The words come out like breath through clenched teeth. The door was never supposed to open. We thought we buried it in snow, but snow melts, and memory waits. You throw the diary down. It lands with a muted thud on the forest floor, its pages fluttering in a breeze that shouldn't exist. You stand, or try to, but something shifts beneath your feet, softness giving way to pressure. Roots or fingers or tendrils, you don't know anymore. You look up. The trees around you lean in, just slightly, but enough to make you feel like you're standing at the bottom of a throat. The bark ripples, the branches twitch. You run. This time your legs obey. The path ahead twists and stretches, refusing to stay consistent. Your breath catches in your throat. Every shadow reaches for your ankles. You swear you hear your grandfather's voice again. But this time, it's panicked. Don't bring it home. Burn it. Bury it. Do not take it out of the woods. And that's when you see it. The clearing ends. There, your grandfather's war chest. Right where you found it. Except now it's half buried in loam and ash, charred at the edges, as if it had tried to burn itself. The diary lies on top, open again. This time, the ink has bled into something else, something alive. The words slither, reshaping as you look at them. We remember through you. You slam the chest shut, latch it, tie it, weigh it down with stones. Your hands bleed as you drag it back with you, back through the trees, back to your home, back into the attic where all this began. The lights in the house flicker when you enter. No one's home. Not anymore. Your phone is dead. The clocks all stopped at 3:33. You lug the chest into the farthest corner. You don't know what to do except wait. Maybe it will stop. Maybe if you don't read anymore, don't open it, don't acknowledge it, it'll fade like a nightmare does after dawn. But that night, you can't sleep. Not because of fear, because you keep hearing scratching from the attic, slow, rhythmic, like someone, something, is writing in reverse from inside the chest. You try to ignore it, you really do. But around 2 a.m. the noise stops. You almost feel relief. Then faintly, you hear your name. Not out loud, not whispered, but remembered. Like it's being thought about, intensely, by something just on the other side of the ceiling. You sleep eventually, fitfully, dreams fractured and looping. You wake to your door creaking open. But no one's there, just a trail of small footprints in ash, leading from your bed to the attic stairs. You follow them, you wish you didn't. You reach the chest, the latch is undone. Your fingers tremble as you lift the lid one last time. Inside, there's no diary, just a mirror, cracked, covered in dust. And in the reflection, you see your grandfather standing behind you, but not as you remember him. He's wearing his uniform, covered in dirt, eyes black and wet and endless. He doesn't speak, just raises his hand and points at the floor behind you. You turn. Nothing. But when you turn back, the mirror is empty, and something else is there now, taped to the inside of the chest lid. A new page, written in your handwriting. You opened it. Now it opens you. You slam the lid, run down the stairs. You can't stay here. You don't know where you're going. You just go. Drive all night. Don't look in the rear view. Don't stop when the radio starts playing your grandfather's voice. You arrive at a cheap motel, try to sleep, but when you check your bag in the morning, the The diary's there, even though you left it behind, even though you locked it away. You open to the last page. It reads, "You remember now," and so do they. The scratching starts again that night, not from the attic, from under the bed. Your hand moves to your phone to call someone, anyone, but the screen is black. The reflection stares back at you. Not your face, your grandfather's, smiling, no eyes, just polished skin stretched too tight. You drop the phone. The diary thuds softly onto the floor beside it. The pages flutter open on their own. And then, another voice, closer this time, just behind your ear, breathing in the dark. You left the door open. You spend the next few days trying to believe in ordinary things. Running water, the buzz of fluorescent lights, a clean bedsheet in a motel room that doesn't breathe at night. But it's no use. The diary keeps appearing. You've burned it twice now, dropped it in a river once, left it on the side of a highway, and yet, every single morning, it's there, waiting, smelling faintly of old smoke and damp soil, like the trenches your grandfather described in his first entries. It no longer pretends to be just ink and paper. Sometimes the words move, not quickly, not enough to catch while watching, but you know they rearrange themselves. You feel them doing it, quietly, like rats behind a wall. One morning, you wake up with your pillow soaked in sweat, and words scribbled on the ceiling above you. "We never left." The message fades by midday, but the pressure remains. A weight, an awareness. You start to feel watched, not just by something, but from within yourself. Like your bones are holding secrets you didn't ask for, and worse. You're starting to understand some of the language in the margins of the diary. Not English, not German, something older. Syllables that feel like stone being broken in the mouth. Each time you sound one out, even in your head, it echoes a little too long. You feel something shift in the room. You stop reading them. You think that might help. It doesn't. You're no longer alone in mirrors. At first, it's just fleeting. The hint of a shoulder, the silhouette of a helmet. Then it's more distinct. Always your grandfather, standing behind you, face increasingly wrong, as though something else is trying to wear his memory like a mask. You stop using mirrors, but they still use you. At night, when you dream, you return to the forest. It's always snowing, and always too warm. Your footsteps lead you back to the trench, the same one from the photo. And when you crawl inside, you hear humming. A lullaby, familiar. It's your grandfather's voice, but twisted, deeper, slower, like a record warping over time. And in your dream, he's not the one singing. He's just listening. So are the others. You don't see them, but you feel them. Row after row of them, unblinking, frozen in the dirt, waiting. You wake up screaming most nights now. The motel manager doesn't ask questions anymore. He just gives you extra towels and avoids eye contact. He knows something's wrong. Maybe he sees it too. The final straw comes when you wake up to find your room rearranged. All the drawers pulled open, all the light bulbs unscrewed, and a single page from the diary pinned to your chest with a rusty safety pin. It reads, "Come back." You don't pack. You don't say goodbye. You just drive. Back to the forest. Back to where you found the chest. It's dusk when you arrive. The clearing hasn't changed. Still dead trees. Still the soft crunch of ash underfoot. You half expect the chest to be gone. But it's there. Open this time. And inside, the uniform, clean, pressed. And a helmet. Your size. No diary. You don't think anymore. You just know what you're supposed to do. You put the uniform on. It fits perfectly. The trees sway in approval. The world leans inward. And somewhere far away, in a place that isn't quite time or space, you hear digging, lots of it, as though 100 soldiers are tunneling towards something or someone. The forest floor opens like a mouth, and you go down willingly, because you understand now. It wasn't about memory, it was about containment. Your grandfather didn't write the diary to remember. He wrote it to trap something, to hold it still, to bind it to his bloodline. And when he died, it needed a new vessel. That vessel is you. And as the soil closes over your head and the darkness pulls tight like a second skin, you don't struggle, because it's already begun writing again, using your hands. And somewhere in another attic, in another year, someone else will open your words and hear the same scratching. The cycle always continues. The forest is never silent for long. And the war is still going. Just underground now, just deeper. Word count, 1071. Wind down, 300 words. The soil grows softer now. The sounds fade. The shadows still whisper, but they no longer press close. You feel your heartbeat slow, your breath steady, and the forest, once sharp and watching, now leans away, like it's satisfied, like for now it rests. You lie in a space that doesn't move, doesn't demand. You drift in it. There are no footsteps, no diary pages rustling, only a slow, rhythmic silence, like the earth itself is sleeping, and you are curled somewhere in its chest. Safe, if safe can mean accepted. You open your eyes, and there's only soft grey, a fog that cradles more than it hides. And somewhere in that quiet, you realise something. Not everything in the dark is angry. Some things are just forgotten, lonely, eager to be known. And maybe that's what the diary was all along. Not a warning, not a curse, just a memory too heavy to carry alone. So now you sleep. And in your sleep, the scratching becomes less sharp. The voices dim, the war quiets, and the trees, those strange ever-watching trees, hum low and distant lullabies in a language no one speaks anymore. For now, you rest, and maybe when you wake, the world will be a little lighter, or maybe not. Either way, the lights are dim now. The night has folded you in, and you are, at last, part of the story. Sweet dreams.